You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to N2K Cyberwire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, the phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is Joe Kerrigan. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Dave.
And Maria Vermazis. Maria, welcome.
Thanks. Good to be here.
We've got some good stories to share, and we will be right back after this message from our show's sponsor. But first, a word from our sponsors at KnowBefore. Time travel would be a particularly powerful tool in the hands of any overworked InfoSec professional. Think about it. Being able to see the future and know which malicious emails would be missed by all the existing filters. Your ability to stay one step ahead of the bad actors would rise to a whole new level. Unfortunately, our sponsors haven't cracked time travel just yet. They are, however, introducing a new phishing protection product that can block and remove dangerous phishing emails before your users even see them. Stay with us, and in a few minutes, you'll learn how. All right, before we get into any follow-up, we have a bit of a milestone to celebrate here this week. This is episode 300 of the Hacking Humans podcast.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's quite a milestone.
It is.
That's about 6 years, I guess, something like that, right?
6, almost 7. I mean, how long have we been doing this? It's a long time, Dave.
Yeah, feels longer.
It does.
Wow.
No, but 300 episodes. And we started off when, I was still working in Baltimore. You were still working in Baltimore?
Yep.
Now neither of us work in Baltimore.
That's right.
We're both in Columbia now. So that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle upgrade for both of us.
It is.
But no, we've covered a lot of things, and I'm proud and happy and thankful for, because obviously it's not just you and me. There's a whole team of folks behind the scenes who make this possible every week.
Mm-hmm.
And also, of course, to our sponsor, KnowBefore has been with us since the very beginning. So
That's
we
right.
appreciate their sponsorship and participation to make it easy for us to keep doing this every week. So yay us.
That's right.
Congratulations.
And welcome, Maria.
Well, no, I cannot take any credit for 300. I'm new. I'm a newcomer. So I'm just saying congratulations to you two for keeping this going for 6 years. My goodness. That is a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
Good. I mean, so far, here's to the next 300.
Right.
There you go.
Ooh.
I can do this another 300 times. No problem.
It is strange, just to when you look at that big a number and you think about things in your life that you've done that many times. It's remarkable. Of course, I'm at like at 2,500 over on the Cyberwire.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. Doing the math.
It's all
You do
perspective.
that every day, though.
Yeah. How far are you guys along on T-minus, Maria? Are you up around 200 or so?
We're over that now. I think we actually already surpassed 300. I could be wrong.
Oh.
I think I was on vacation the day we hit 300. I'm real dedicated
when
too.
When you do a daily, you rack them up quickly.
That's
But,
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, and thanks to everyone for listening. We could not do this without all of you supporting us and making it possible for this show to be valuable to you, to be valuable for our sponsors, to put their messages in front of you. So thank you all for tuning in every week. We do appreciate it. All right. We have some follow-up here. Joe, you want to share with us what we've got?
Sure. The first message comes from Bree. Is this the only message we have in follow-up?
We have two. I
Okay.
have one as well.
All right. So Bree writes in to say that she was really glad to see this magnet on my mom's fridge. She lives in an area with older people, and I love that the police are keeping them safe from scams. A picture of the magnet is attached. So it's, like a magnet like the realtors pass out with the football and baseball schedules.
Refrigerator magnet.
Refrigerator magnet. And it has a picture of a badge up top, and it says, Sumter County Sheriff's Office, No Numbers Project. So this is they're calling it, first off, kudos to them. They've come up with a really good name for this, the No Numbers Project.
Yeah.
It's memorable,
And it's all numbers themed, no gift card numbers, no IP address numbers, no bank account or crypto account numbers, no social security numbers, no credit card numbers. Just say no and hang up.
I love this.
It's got little blurbs under each one of these things.
Yeah.
I genuinely want one of these. How do I get one of these?
Right,
'Cause I know
too.
people who could use this.
Well, I was thinking we should just blatantly rip this off and make our own Hacking Humans refrigerator
Hacking Humans
magnet.
merch. Let's do it.
I am sure that Sumter County would have no problem with us doing that.
No, we should reach out and ask. I would love to see this be something widespread. This is great.
Yeah.
I would love to have one of these to put on my father's refrigerator, my own. So, yeah.
I mean, you think about the real estate agents that leave those schedules. Those schedule magnets just have like a little empty space at the top where they put the real estate agent's contact information.
Yeah, I could see you distributing these at the local senior center, just all kinds of places where you could get this to the folks who could most appreciate it. So thank you, Bree, for sending that in. We will try to find a place to post this so that listeners can check it out and see what we're talking about here. But very cool.
Mm-hmm.
We got another message from a listener named Mark, who happens to be a friend of mine.
Okay.
And Mark wrote in and said, my 77-year-old mom's Facebook account was hacked today. She found, and he puts found in quotes, a number for Facebook customer service. Called the number, and they had her download an app onto her phone and then open her banking app while they were on the phone with her.
Oh, no.
Luckily, my
Yeah.
sister happened to be in the house and overheard part of the conversation, and they were able to call the bank immediately and close the account. She did not lose any money, but just by luck.
Right.
She does
Yeah.
have the hassle now of opening a new account and setting up all of her automatic payments.
Right.
Dodged a bullet, but still a pain in the butt.
Let me take a wild guess as to how she found this number.
Right.
She did a Google search for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
some scammer has bought the Google ad. This is me guessing, speculating, but I'll bet I'm right here.
I bet you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame, but it's a good reminder, and
I'm glad that she didn't get hurt.
No, but did you see how easy it is?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, she just... And in response to an actual hack, right? Something happened to her Facebook account, and she was trying to do the right thing, and she got double scammed.
I've seen a lot of these happen lately. I know 2 people, like within the past 2 months, who have lost access to their Facebook accounts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's everywhere right now. I'm seeing it all
what
over
I've
the
seen
place.
is a lot of, I've seen duplicate accounts being spun up.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
seeing that as well.
Yeah.
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 Every day, I'm very grateful that my mother does not have a Facebook account. Like, I just completely sidestep all of this. But she's like
Right.
the only person I know in her age cohort who doesn't. And
That's great.
she basically goes, I don't want this hassle. I don't want to see the minion memes or whatever. And she just doesn't, she just opted out of that completely. But I mean, all of her relatives have a Facebook account. So, I mean, I got lucky. But yeah, this is a tough one.
The minion memes.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is our follow-up this week. And, of course, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to consider for the show, you can email us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. All right. Well, let's jump into our stories here. I'm going to start things off for us. This is a story from the Washington Post, and it's titled, Psychic and Family of Extortionists Scam Maryland Man Out of $4.2 million. Yeah.
I was wondering when you were going to cover this. I figured this was in your neck of the woods, right?
This is in our neck of the woods. And I saw this come by in the past week or so, and I tucked it away for this show.
Yeah.
So this is the story of a woman named Gina Russell. And this is a story of deception, manipulation, and an elaborate scheme that unraveled over the course of about a decade. Let's all go back to October 2009, when Gina Russell posed as a psychic, and she performed a reading for a 25-year-old woman named Holly Nadell from New York. And Gina Russell convinced Holly that bad things would happen to her and her family unless she handed over large sums of money.
Okay.
So
I have a question.
Yeah.
What psychic doesn't convince somebody that they're psychic?
what psychic
What psychic-
doesn't convince someone
Right.
that they're psychic?
She's posing as a psychic, and then it says that Russell convinced Nadell that bad things. Oh no, she convinced. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
That's how tall is he going on here? Okay.
I know. I thought you were hitting us with some kind of like extremely thought-provoking riddle or something. But
No, it's
One of these statements is false. Yeah, okay.
right.
Which psychic isn't really posing as a psychic? That's the way I should say it.
Right. Well,
What psychic
I
isn't?
would say that all psychics are posing as psychics, but
Right.
that is
That's the nature of the job.
that is my opinion. I'm sure there are some listeners who would disagree with us.
I
but-
don't know.
Someone's
I'm
texting
not,
you right now, Dave.
I'm not
I
entirely
know.
dismissive of the idea, but I don't think that anybody that you give money to is going to be successful at this.
Right.
I've told you what my retirement plan is. I'm going to open up a psychic business
Okay.
and just listen to people, and then use my vast life experience to see where their life is going.
Okay.
Right, and just tell them, yes, I'm psychic, because people will believe that.
Yeah.
They won't listen to somebody who has life experience, but they'll listen to a psychic.
Well, like they say, headline you
40
never
chess.
see. Psychic wins lottery.
Right.
Right. So let's move on with this story.
Right.
This woman, Gina Russell, the self-described psychic, she actually married into a family. This was the Evans family, family out of New York City. And they saw an opportunity in Gina Russell's psychic act, and they joined in on the scheme. So by 2020, so this started in 2009, she'd been stringing along Holly for almost 10 years.
Right.
And by 2020, she had persuaded Holly to take up sex work
Ugh.
when she struggled to gather money.
Oh, no.
It grew even worse when Holly got a client. She developed a relationship through her sex work. She was giving, what do they call them? Erotic massages is I believe, the euphemism for it.
Right.
She had a client whose name was Daniel, and he was the chief financial officer of a mechanical contractor in Washington, D.C. And Daniel, who was married, living the normal family life, but for whatever reason, found himself enamored with Holly, believed that he had fallen in love with her. He embezzled over $4.2 million from his employer because he thought that Holly was in trouble.
Whoa.
So it's like a romance scam by proxy.
It's a romance scam, right. But it got even deeper because the Evans family, this is the family that Gina Russell, the psychic, had married into, they went down a road with Daniel of convincing him that Holly was in trouble with the mob and that they were going to kidnap her and bad things were going to happen to her, and that the only way that he could prevent that was by continuing this flow of money to the, I'm going to say, quote, mobsters, and they weren't actually mobsters, they're just scammers.
Right.
But it was an elaborate scheme. They sent him pictures of his car so that they would convince him that they knew where he was and where he was traveling and that he was going to be in trouble as well.
Wow.
So it ended up with this gentleman, Daniel. He delivered $1.6 million in gold bars to a Manhattan hotel room, only for one of the Evans family to retrieve the gold bars. Finally, in 2017, Daniel attempted to flee. He knew he was in trouble. He had embezzled all this money from his job. He knew he was going to lose his family. And his plan was he was going to get some fake IDs for himself and for Holly. And what happened was he didn't go to work for a few. He stopped showing up to work. And his employer got suspicious because he's just stopped showing up to work for no reason. They started looking at the books and found the irregularities in the books. And this prompted a police investigation. And then eventually the FBI stepped in. And this ultimately led to the arrest of the Evans family and also Gina Russell.
Wow. They pulled on that thread and just completely, jeez.
Right.
My
According to
goodness.
this story, even after arrested, Gina Russell didn't stop. While she was awaiting sentencing, she convinced another woman in Los Angeles to work as a prostitute and got nearly $200,000 from her.
Huh.
So
How
eventually-
manipulative is this? How do you do that?
Are there sex trafficking crimes that they could charge her with?
Yeah. I mean, so all of the Evans family members have received sentences. Two of them got 5 years in prison. Another one got 3.5 years. One got 2.5 years. One got just over a year. Gina Russell herself was just sentenced in federal court to 10 years in prison. She was sentenced last week.
Huh.
Her attorney said that she had a troubled upbringing, that she was forced into marriage at 16, and that she lacked a basic education. The prosecutor said, no, she's a dangerous woman, and she was dedicated to exploiting others.
Right.
Yeah.
So, tragically, Daniel is also charged with crimes.
Right.
I mean, he is guilty of the crime, and he pled guilty of the embezzlement of $4.2 million from the company.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been sentenced yet because they put his process on hold while they were sorting everything out with this Russell family.
They probably had his cooperation as well.
I bet they did.
I would imagine. Yeah.
The original victim, Holly, who was the original victim of the psychic scam, of course, she's in trouble as well because she was party to all of this. She deceived Daniel. So it's just a big old mess all the way down. But you can see, in reading this story and thinking about it, it struck me the power that someone can have over you with a psychic scam.
Right.
If they can convince you that they can actually see your future and that the only way to get out of bad things happening to you is for you to give them money, there's no rational way to counter that. And that's what makes these so horrible. They literally weave a spell over someone and get them to believe that these terrible things are going to happen. And my heart breaks for these people. And of course, it's just terrible, the people who perform these kinds of scams on people. What do you guys think of this?
I'm with you on that, Dave.
Yeah.
It is terrible. If you're sitting on the outside and you're trying to argue somebody out of this position, you're not going to argue them out of it. Because you're just going to come off as, like you and I were talking about this earlier in this story. We're like, oh, come on, psychics, really?
Yeah.
All of our friends know that how we feel about psychics.
Right.
And they're going to discount any advice we get because we're skeptical of psychics.
Right. We're not believers.
We're not believers. Right?
Have you
We're not
ever
part
been
of
to a psychic though? I'm going to be a devil's advocate for no real reason, just for fun. Have you ever been?
I have been to one once when I was maybe a teenager in Ocean City, Maryland. There was a psychic.
No, I have never been to a psychic, although I have studied their scams and I'm up to date on the whole idea of cold reading, which is I think what most psychics do.
Right.
They're amazing social engineers. They are just absolutely incredible just to study. And I went to one recently knowing what I was getting into. And I didn't believe anything I was told, of course, but I just had to be, I was just in awe of how good they are at what they do. And if you, even I going in there fully prepared going, I'm a total skeptic. I know a lot of the tricks of their trade here. Even I was like, wow, if I wasn't prepared with that, I could have totally seen myself wondering how on earth they made such amazing predictions and seem to know certain things in my life, which of course, because generalities are effective, but it's quite amazing. So if you don't come in there armed with that skepticism, if you're at already a vulnerable point in your life, it's amazing how well they can engineer their way in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one lady I went to told me I would marry a woman named Cindy and said, do you know anybody named Cindy? I'm like, I don't know anybody named Cindy.
Somewhere there's a woman named Cindy who's very sad and lonely.
Very sad. And there are a lot of people who are vulnerable who use psychics as sort of like a makeshift therapist. That's something else I've also heard. So people who are in a lot of emotional trouble, that's their go-to because they can't afford to find an actual professional to help them. So it's just it's terrible that the way that people get victimized. Yeah.
And I guess one thing I wonder about is, are there psychics out there who are doing no harm? Are there psychics out there who believe in their own skills, right?
Yes.
They believe that they actually are psychic.
Yes. I fully believe that. Yeah.
And in doing so, believe that they're actually helping people. And if they're charging a reasonable fee and the person can afford it, is harm being done? I'm fuzzy on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I live near Salem,
people...
Massachusetts, and there's a gajillion psychics around there, and a lot of them fully 100% believe, and not just that they're psychic, but that it's like a religious calling for them in some cases,
right?
And that it's their duty to do what they do. So, I'm with you. It's fuzzy. It's real fuzzy. I mean, I don't believe in any of it, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, that is my story, and we'll have a link to that original story from the Washington Post in the show notes. Maria, what do you have for us this week?
I don't know if you heard about this whole Crowdstrike thing that... Is it striking? Anything sound familiar about the word Crowdstrike? All right, so we don't have to...
I think somebody mentioned that in one of my meetings at the Cyberwire, but...
I have like 4 or 5... shares of their stock, and I've noticed it's decreased in value significantly.
Plummeted instead. Yeah, please refer to all recent episodes of the Cyberwire for a clue in on what on earth I am mentioning here if you don't know what I'm talking about. But as what often happens after a major security incident like the CrowdStrike outage, criminals have picked up on the vulnerability of all of us humans trying to figure out what the heck to do. So I just want to put out a quick PSA. There are some fantastic lists of URLs that were registered within the same day as the CrowdStrike outage occurring. And InfoSec professionals no doubt already knew about a lot of these, and they've added these to block lists. But I think as a PSA for listeners who maybe are their family's IT department, maybe pass the word on to your family members that there are a lot of people taking advantage of the CrowdStrike outage to scam others. And some of the URLs they are using are really, really convincing sounding. I mean, there's a humongous list. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of them are like crowdstrike.technology or crowdstrike.us.org. These are fake. These are bad. Don't go there. But it's a lot of these very convincing sounding URLs. So just a reminder to all our friends and family who maybe might have been affected by this in some way, that nobody's going to call them at home and say, hey, I'm here to help you with your CrowdStrike outage. Because I think some people honestly might have been really rattled by this news and are wondering what they need to do or how they might be affected. So just sort of like a PSA to pass on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Someone registered MicrosoftCrowdstrike.com.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's on this list. Okta CrowdStrike.
Okta CrowdStrike. That one I thought was interesting too. Yeah. CrowdStrike, the blue screen of death.bsod.com.
Right.
It's just some of these are really insidious. Some of them are funny, but I mean, I could see someone in a panic or maybe not even paying much attention, legitimately finding these to be like, oh yeah, that's totally what they would use. So, what is crowdstrike.com? There you go. Another one. So again, don't go to any of those. just an FYI for everybody.
Right.
All right. So that was not my actual story. It was just sort of a quick PSA because my other story is also a little on the short side. So I figured I'd give you a 2 for 1. The Olympics are starting soon, or they have started by the time this podcast airs. So I figured, why don't we talk about a truly international and global scourge, which is Postal Service smishing. Everybody's favorite when you get those, hey, you've got a package in the mail. And if you thought that was something limited to just, I don't know, the United States and Canada, you were very wrong. Fortinet has put out a report that there is a huge campaign going on targeting people in India, users of India's government-operated postal system, India Post. It's a smishing scam. So threat actors are targeting iPhone users specifically with smishing attacks, including the common claim that there's a package waiting for them at an India Post warehouse. And then the smishing messages, again, as we often see, have a URL leading to a fraudulent website. And then the messages, again, they are only to iPhones because it uses only iMessage. So that the messages are sent from an email. So you'll see people using Gmail, Hotmail, or Yahoo email addresses to send a smishing attack email, smish, to a phone number And then basically, if you can't get iMessage, you're not going to be affected by this. But if you can, and it's a lot of us, you could be. And then the phishing site in the URL is an exact copy of the legitimate India Post website. Again, a lot of this is familiar. And they'll, through that website, collect name, full residential address, your email ID, phone number, and in some cases also credit card information. And they'll use that for later campaigns. So again, this might sound very familiar. What to me was very interesting about this smishing campaign was between January and July of this year, Fortinet found over 470 domain registrations in this attack. And 296 of those domains were registered via the Chinese registrar, Beijing Lanhai GA Technology, followed by 152 registrations through the U.S. provider NameSilo. So we've Olympic spirit, international collaboration. We've got an attack against folks in India being registered with domains registered in China and the United States. It's just amazing how crime knows no bounds. And the public reporting on this attack, the specific smishing attack, suggests that Chinese-based threat actor known as the smishing triad is behind all this. And they used to target predominantly the US, UK, EU, UAE, KSA, and most recently Pakistan, but now it looks like India is in their sights. So another little note from Fortinet about this specific issue is that if it is indeed the smishing triad behind this, they actually put some decent coin into setting up this scam, a couple $1,000s for the top-level domains that they registered for the phishing URLs. They use like .vip and .top TLDs. And that is a sign to Fortinet anyway that is a sign that the smishing campaign is very effective if they're willing to upfront all that cost. So, yeah. So
I would
seems
agree
like
with that assessment.
Yeah. They know the scam will give big dividends. So, yeah, global collaboration in the spirit of the Olympics to scam people out of money. So there you go. Going for the gold.
Yeah, and I guess the overall lesson here, as we talk about over and over again, is you're not going to get an inbound on something like this. That you have a package that that needs to be picked up from the Postal Service.
Yeah.
They'll drop something in your mailbox. They have access to your mailbox.
That's right. They do.
What? The post office?
They're the only people that are, them and you are the only people legally allowed to put anything in your mailbox.
That's right. Yeah, and they're pretty serious about it.
Yes.
Postal inspectors have guns.
Do they really?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh yes, they do.
Absolutely.
They are. I say guns. I mean, they are deadly serious about the integrity of the mail. Like super
it's federal
serious
crime,
about it.
right? To mess with it. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. No, it is really serious. And my point in that is, don't take it lightly and don't screw around with the mail. Like they will nip that in the bud. The postal inspectors.
Now, I wonder if that's the same in India and other countries. Like, and we're talking about the United States, but I wonder about other countries if it's the same.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I know that when I was a kid, in my neighborhood, everybody had a mailbox, and then directly below that, they had a plastic newspaper box.
Right.
And the people that would come through the neighborhood and put things into any of those boxes would only put them in the newspaper boxes. They would not put them in the mailbox.
Yep.
And I think that's because if you don't use the postal system to deliver something, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Don't see many of those newspaper boxes anymore.
No, not around here anyway.
Nope.
Very few.
Nope. All right, we are going to take a quick break for a message from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
We were talking about mitigating cyber threats to your organization before your users even see them. The new Fish ER Plus from KnowBe4 was developed to help you supercharge your organization's email security defenses. How? You get a unique crowdsourcing advantage. More than 10 million highly trained KnowBe4 end users from across the globe catch and report malicious email that makes it through all the filters. KnowBe4's Threat Lab then validates it with AI and with human researchers. Fish ER Plus blocks phishing threads other tools have missed and proactively removes them from your users' inboxes. Not quite time travel, but we think you'll agree it's a vital capability in any InfoSec professional's arsenal. Visit knowbefore.com/products/fish-plus to learn more. That's knowbefore.com/products/fish-plus. And we thank KnowBefore for sponsoring our show.
And we are back. Joe, you are up. What do you got for us this week?
Dave, I was just going to comment on the headline of this article and move on.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with this article that comes from Amy Peachy at CBS News. And the headline is, "Sextortion scams run by Nigerian criminals are targeting American men," Meta says.
Okay.
Right? And we'll put a link in the show notes. But as I read this article and watched the video that went along with it, I just got more and more angry as I went on.
You?
Me.
What?
Yes. I know.
Now, Amy probably didn't write the headline, just putting that out there.
No.
Okay.
That's right.
But the headline, this is not a case of a bad headline for
Headline
a story.
gore?
This,
Yeah,
this
okay.
headline,
Yep.
this headline fits the story pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and I'm not faulting Amy here, but maybe I am going to do that a little bit because I'm really, I am going to do that.
Sorry, Amy.
I think this is a terrible article that misses so many opportunities. And I really want to call CBS News to task here for some issues with this article and some issues with the video that accompany it. And number one is, wow, where have you been on this issue? You're just now setting this up. This article came out yesterday in a major news outlet. The Wall Street Journal's been covering this kind of stuff for years. I can't remember the name of the two reporters they have doing that, but they've been covering it for years. And maybe CBS has been doing that as well. But this has been a newsworthy story for months, and I really haven't seen the coverage on it that I'd like to see on it. Do you remember back in January when Senator Josh Hawley got Zuck to apologize to all the families who were there at a Senate hearing?
Yep.
Vaguely,
And,
yep.
Yeah, those were families who had children who had been victimized on Meta. I don't know if they were victims of this sextortion scheme. This is a relatively new one. But honestly, this article looks like it was written by Meta's press office for the first half of it. So you get a quote from Antigone Davis, who is Meta's head of global head of safety. And she says, she said this in a call with reporters, which is, like a press teleconference, right? And the quote is, "First of all, it goes without saying that financial sextortion is a horrific crime and can have devastating consequences. It's why we're particularly focused on it right now." I'm dubious of that claim right out of the gate. I think the only reason they're focused on it is because people like us, Paul Raphael, who Meta rescinded the job offer to. I've talked about Paul before. He is a very vocal advocate about this problem. Other advocates are starting to get the word out about how bad this situation is. Finally, I will say that Meta did something here that is a step in the right direction in this story. They're talking about taking down 63,000 Instagram accounts, 200 Facebook pages, and 5,700 Facebook groups. And this is a pretty good chunk. I'm not sure what the total level of this population is, but I'll bet that this proportion is significant. So, yes, this is a good thing. My primary question is, and maybe that's what it is that started CBS with this reporting, is that Meta announced they were going to, or had this press conference to announce they had taken this step.
Right.
But why did this take so long for Meta to get to? They've known this is a problem for so long.
Yep.
And they've finally also classified, I saw this on Paul's LinkedIn page, that Meta has now classified the Yahoo Boys as a foreign threat group. So they're going to try to block them from everything on the platforms. Now, CBS doesn't mention the biggest tragedy that's come out of this story until much later in the article, and then they don't get the numbers right. And that is the targeting of teenage boys, kids, on this platform. These guys go after kids. They don't care that they're going after kids. Paul Raphael has said that he's exchanged messages with these guys who say, "Yeah, we don't care if we kill 100 kids." But the FBI, in the CBS article, quotes the FBI saying that about 20 kids have killed themselves, but that number is actually closer to 40 kids over the past 2 years, according to Paul Rafale. So it's significantly worse. And then at some point in time in the video, the anchor, I can't remember who, I couldn't find out what the anchor's name was. They don't show you in the video, but she says, how do people fall for this? And then she quickly turns it into a, how do we protect people against this? But she still asks, how do people fall for this? People fall for this because they're humans. That's what happens. I don't want to see any kind of victim blaming on this particular issue because you're talking about them targeting young, vulnerable men with something that young men are particularly vulnerable to. And then they are exploiting that vulnerability to get these guys to cough up cash. And some of these young men, unfortunately, have made the decision that they're going to end their lives. So I want to say this one more time. And I'll say this every time we talk about the issue. If you are a victim of these guys, if you find yourself down the road, a victim of one of these sextortion scams, just stop interacting with them. There's no good that comes from giving them money, and there's no good that comes from continuing the communication. If you give them money, they're just going to ask you for more and more money. If you continue communicating, they're just going to get in your mental space and mess that up terribly. Just stop talking about it. And the thing I want to say is that this is not a permanent solution. Especially if you're underage, this is not a permanent solution, or a permanent situation rather. It will go away, and you will look back on it, and it will become something in your rearview mirror very quickly. I'm not saying you're going to look back and laugh. I'm not saying that. I'm just going to be, it's something you're going to look back on and go, yeah, that was terrible. But I'm glad it was so short-lived. It won't be that long-lived. It is certainly not worth ending your life over. And if you have parents who are willing to listen to you about things like this, tell them what's going on. I am in 99.9% of the cases, your parents would rather know about this than find you dead. That's the most important thing I want to say.
Yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
yeah. It's just tragic. Just getting back to the thing with Meta. I think we all have been conditioned to roll our eyes whenever we see Meta brag about anything that they're doing because the evidence points to the complete opposite. Anybody who's spent any time on any of Meta's platforms sees that whatever they're doing, it's not nearly enough.
Correct.
And
it's
pretty
often
much
in the wrong
platform,
direction. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Every other platform pretty much does a better job than Meta does.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I saw an article, I want to say the past week or so, about some researchers who spun up a completely new account on Facebook, a couple of accounts on Facebook. Pretty sure it was Facebook. Completely clean IP address, new device. Just there was no way to trace anything back to these accounts because they wanted to see what happened. And it didn't take more than, a week or so before the accounts started being fed just horrible content.
Of
horrible content.
Yeah. And meanwhile,
and it's just Facebook's algorithm just trying to get you hooked. It's like, is this going to hook you? Oh, no. Oh, how about this?
Here's this hot plate of garbage for you. Yes. Do you like it? Yeah, we'll give you more. And then meanwhile, I think everybody I know who has ever used a Meta platform, whether it's Facebook or Instagram primarily, can think of times where you see stuff that's legitimately terrible. Either you're being impersonated, by a cloned account, as we've talked about, or there's an account that you see that is clearly advocating for something violent or illegal, and you report it, and then nothing happens. You get a thing from Facebook saying, this is totally fine. So you're just like, what on earth is going? There's too big to fail on one hand, and then there's also too big to function is sort of the part that I think about it for Meta. It's like none of this moderation, such as it is, if it even exists, makes any sense. And people are
if Facebook
dying.
failed tomorrow.
Yeah.
If Meta failed tomorrow, everything in this country would get so much better. So everything around the world would get so much better tomorrow.
Isn't that a shame that that's how it's gotten?
It is.
It's such a shame.
It is.
It's true, though. It's true, but it's such a shame.
It's an interesting thing. Yeah. And I wonder where everyone would go. I mean, we kind of saw this when we saw this huge exit from Twitter, right? And some people went some places, other people went other places. And it's interesting. I wonder what would happen if
I know where I'd
Suddenly.
go, and that would be nowhere else.
I know, but it's easy to
Yeah.
say that. And I was off of Twitter, or not Twitter. I was off of Facebook for about 5 years,
Right.
and they sucked me back in because there were things I was actually missing out on. Because that's where so much of our discourse happens now. Just practical everyday life things about events and people getting married and having kids and passing away. Like,
Yep.
I wasn't seeing about things in my community because I wasn't participating. But every time I get on there, I catch myself. I feel like I'm like stuffing my mouth full of cotton candy, something completely empty and in any sort of nutritional value. But it's just super sweet.
And then your
I
stomach
just
hurts.
hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It makes me
Yeah.
want to throw up.
Too
Yep.
many Minion memes.
Too many Minion memes. My entire adult life has had Facebook. It started when I was in college. I was one of its early users. So I have a hard time squaring the circle of how it started and how my entire life, especially in my 20s, my social life was very much centered on organizing things through Facebook. And now how almost no one I know my age uses it anymore because it's just such garbage. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it's the same. Like you can't completely extricate yourself from it. And I really hate it.
Yeah, I do too. All right, well, we will have a link to the story from CBS News in the show notes so you can check that out. Joe, Maria, it is time to move on to our catch of the day.
Dave, our catch of the day comes from an anonymous listener who didn't leave a name, which is why they remained anonymous. But, we haven't done a back and forth catch of the day in a while.
Yeah,
And this listener saw this on Shared and wanted to share it with us.
okay.
And it's somebody messing with a scammer. So why don't you play the part of the scammer
Okay.
in the gray bubbles, and I'll do the person messing with them in the
All
green
right.
bubbles.
All right. Hey, how are you? What are you doing?
Sorry, who's this? Not showing up in my phone.
I'm Shino Liu. Talked to you at the meeting on fashion design last month.
Oh my God, Shiny. I'm so happy to hear from you. You survived the fire then. I had heard that only a few of us made it out. Were you hurt? Shiny?
Wait, I'm confused. Are you William from Canada?
Yes. Are you Shino from the fashion conference? Are you okay? Not burned?
Hey, how are you? What are you doing?
Hey, in the shower, working on a new fashion show based on edible swimwear. You?
I appreciate your good job. I came to Germany, but now I live in New York. I have also been to Canada and plan to go again for vacation at the end of July. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Shino Liu. I'm 29 years old. And you?
I'm eating a bathing suit right now. You said we met at the fashion conference and you'd like to measure my inseam again? Which of Newton's laws is your favorite? I respect your opinion in all these important details.
That's a great one.
I don't know what you write.
What do you mean, Shiny? Don't know what? You're from New York, yes? This is William from Canada. You loved the taste of my socks at the festival. Lettuce, 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 right? I'm assuming that he's talking about more edible fashion stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah. This is a family show.
By the way, how old are you? I'm 29. Actually, I do 4 design clothes.
I know, you mentioned that yesterday. Are you forgetting? Our friends died in the fire at that conference last week. Why don't you care about them, Shiny? Lettuce. Meow. Lettuce. Poopy pants? By the way, I'm 22. What area of New York are you from? You keep leaving me hanging. Don't you care about my feelings?
Gentle age.
Small ball of lettuce. Could you provide the love to one who eats their own bathing suit in the shower while alone? Do you listen to DJ Meow Mix? I love the song Meow, Meow, Meow.
Wow.
I think that's where the scammer got done.
Bravo to
Took
you
him a
both.
while.
Yes.
Oof.
Gentle
Meow,
age.
meow, meow, meow.
Lettuce.
Meow, 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 meow. Yes.
So I think it's fun to read these.
Yep.
I do think that I think it's risky to engage with these folks.
It is, yeah.
Because chances are they're better at this than you are.
Right.
Right.
And they have your information. They've reached out to you on it.
Right.
Yes.
They have way more experience than you do.
Yep.
So as fun as it is and as funny as it is, my recommendation would be just hang up. Just disconnect. Don't even go there. But no, this was fun. So thanks to our listener for sending this in. Again, we would love to hear from you. Our email address is hackinghumans@n2k.com.
We want to thank all of you for listening, and of course, we want to thank our sponsors at KnowBe4. They are experts in helping users do the right thing through new school security awareness training.
And that is Hacking Humans, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to hackinghumans@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode is produced by Liz Stokes. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. I'm Dave Bittner.
I'm Joe Kerrigan.
And I'm Maria Varmazes.
Thanks for listening.